Breaking news overnight in the world of crypto. Nvidia shares tumbling today. That's after the company reported second quarter results, disappointing their investors, falling below Wall Street estimates. Taking a look at that stock right now, you can still see trading down. We're down about almost 13 points. But the chip maker is pointing the finger of blame at Bitcoin for its woes, saying that the firm's revenue was affected by a significant decrease in crypto mining and that it does not expect to make blockchain-related sales for the rest of the year. And they're probably pointing the middle finger at Bitcoin. Our next guest says, wow, we are in a Bitcoin bear market. For the real believers, this isn't our first time at the rodeo. He's a DJ that turned down a lucrative job on Wall Street to revolutionize everything from music to money using blockchain technology. Here in a Fox Business exclusive is early Bitcoin investor, DJ, and music producer Justin Blau. And it wasn't just any job you turned down, it was BlackRock. And I was reading an article in which you made, I think they said, that year $2 million. So you made the right choice, I think a lot of people would say. But let me start here. A lot of us are afraid of cryptocurrencies. We see these wild swings, and it's hard for us to put a value on the currency because it's trading really on sentiment and nothing else. How do you, calm my fears to get me to invest not only in Bitcoin or another, you're going to be offering a new token. So how do you get me to invest?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of volatility in any early market, really, and there are lots of coins and currencies that may very well go to zero. There are some that have amazing technology that can apply in a lot of different industries, and so it's really just a matter of investor preference. What kind of asset, what kind of digital asset might be interesting to you? Bitcoin is an excellent store of value. Ether is a great platform for decentralized applications, and every different currency has a different purpose, and so it's really just a question of doing your research and figuring out what's interesting to you as an investor.
But you say it's an excellent store of value, but let me ask you, how could it be an excellent store of value when we saw it surge to almost $20,000 earlier this year? And if I buy something today with Bitcoin, if I'm the person selling that something, there's a chance that the exchange I've just made, what I've given, I may get less in return because the price of Bitcoin may fall. Therefore, I've just given up a true, piece of commodity, perhaps, at a price below what it should have been.
Absolutely, and I think we see crazy volatility in all of these types of digital assets because I think there's a lack of public understanding of how they function and how they work. And I think it's people like me, my job is to kind of bring attention to how these currencies can really affect businesses and how they can stabilize over time. And you're completely right. I think that in the past, and especially the past year, we've seen giant fluctuations in Bitcoin and other currencies. But for people who have been in the cryptocurrency world for a long time, these numbers and these different changes are really nothing new.
And one quick question before I get to your next business venture. I know that the Winklevoss, I never say their name correctly, the twins, have been trying to get an ETF started that would allow people like me who are afraid of perhaps actually owning Bitcoin, but a perhaps safer way to test the waters with cryptocurrency. What do you think of the possibility that the SEC may allow this? They're pushing it off until September to make that decision. But is that the right way to go, or would this just add more volatility?
I definitely think it's the right way to go, and I think different cryptocurrency ETFs can address different industries, right? There are certain currencies that address the music business, which is something that I'm working on. There are different currencies that address fintech, and ETFs that kind of brought all of those currencies together and enabled investors to get exposure is really important for the market to evolve. I think the SEC naturally fears market manipulation, given a lot of issues that have existed in the past year.
Well, the Department of Justice is investigating Bitcoin for market manipulation, aren't you? I mean, isn't the outcome of that going to determine whether SEC goes forward in allowing the ETFs? Because I would think, and I'm no expert, you know much more about this than me, I would think having an ETF tied to different cryptocurrencies would actually be a stabilizing force, or am I mistaken? Correct me.
I completely agree, and I think it's very necessary to take the entire space into the future. Bitcoin itself, of course, is subject to market manipulation, but ultimately it's the people who are trading it in large volumes that might be messing around. And so I think ETFs can provide stability in the long term.
Okay, real quick, you've got a business venture up. You're putting together a music festival, which will then, if I've got this right, you're going to issue new tokens, or what I would call a cryptocurrency, which can then be traded. How are you going to make money on this, and who's going to get these tokens?
Well, interestingly enough, we've received amazing commitments from investors that value our entire company and our endeavor at about $60 million, which is incredible for someone like me who wants to really revolutionize an existing space. And the idea is essentially that fans can trade digital assets as tickets, as fungible currencies within a festival network which would include festivals all over the world that are both branded as Our Music Festival, which is the name of the endeavor, or partnership festivals
OMF,
like
Our Music Festival.
OMF, correct.
Okay,
that's
and real quick, so what
venture.
you've done, if I understand this correctly, the asset is the music, but the trading, you've rolled Scalping and Ticketmaster into one, which will be the OMF token, and I can then trade it legally without having to go stand on the street to sell the Ticketmaster ticket.
Well, imagine a world where a ticket is completely verifiable via blockchain technology, via the progress that that ticket makes across lots of transactions. And then you can really see, well, what's the value of this ticket? I think that we can create a platform that enables price discovery of tickets and also prevents scalping and ticket fraud in the future. And that's one of the main goals of Our Music Festival.
So who gets those tokens? If, people watching now, and how do they make money? Is it going to be trading the tokens, or is it investing directly into OMF?
Well, interestingly enough, for our fundraising round, we're actually issuing both equity and tokens as a means of protecting investors, and also because we're still figuring things out. I think the entire space is early. There are lots of different types of tokens that we might work into our ecosystem, and our goal is really to build a multi-token ecosystem where different tokens have different purposes. Imagine that a bracelet that you'd normally get for a festival that enables access, that could be represented by a digital asset that might be a non-fungible digital asset that you could trade between fans at different festivals and at different times. And that non-fungible token might have a lot of value to somebody because it enables access to meeting your favorite artist.
Justin, you are onto something, and I wish I were a little younger because I would be riskier and I'd want to be a part of this, but I wish you the best, and thank you for being here on Countdown.